With the Monday Report Townhall session, it's still very heated here even during the break. So we have people from different counties in this meeting today. We tried to represent all the 47 of them. We couldn't fit all the 47, but more than 33 are here. They'll mention where they're from and get straight to their questions. Let's start with the ladies back here. Just mention your name, which county you're from, and then go. Give your question.
Hello, my name is Kavana. I'm from Nairobi County. And my question to the gentlemen are, you talk about there's inclusivity included in the BBI report, right? And when it comes to the youth, and specifically with the Unity Advisory Board, why is there no youth included within that Unity Advisory Board? Because you talk about inclusivity and there's no youth included, and we make up 65% according to the census, 65% of the population. So why is there no inclusivity there? And not only for the youth, but for the gentleman over here as well. The deaf and blind people also need to be included. All handicapable people need to be included. So why was that not part of it? Kama mmeanza hivyo, BBI itaenda wapi? Is my question.
Adams.
Yeah, let me first say that we were appointed. We didn't appoint ourselves, and therefore maybe that question should have gone to the appointing authority. We were just gazetted. But I agree with you that us as a team, because that question kept on coming when we went to all the 47 counties, the youth was saying and telling us, how come we're not there? And therefore what we did in order to accommodate the youth was that in every session we had, and even the one we are going to have, the stakeholders meeting we are having, validation that we are having on Thursday, there's the Youth for BBI group that is among the first teams that we have given the first opportunity to come and present before us as a way of compensating what we are not in control of in terms of appointing ourselves. As for a person with disability, we have one member, the women rep from Kweni, Rose Museu, is a person living with disability. So at least the team has one person there. But I agree with you that the youth form the largest cadre and population in this country. And what we have always done is to keep the youth in front in terms of making sure that there are issues they bring before us.
All right. Next question.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, your mic is fine. Just hold it closer.
Thank you so much. My name is Sarah Wamai from Nyandarua County, and I have two questions, very quick ones. First of all, I want to understand how the BBI and the Prime Ministerial position is going to cure the adversarial presidential system if the same Prime Minister is going to be elected from the majority group, which most likely the presidential candidate or the president will arise from. So how is it going to cure? Will it just drag the whole issues we have? What is the explanation behind that? The second one is the addition of positions. Right now we are hearing of regional, governments and all that. We are not being told how these governments and how all these positions will be funded. Won't that burden us as Wanjikos? So that is what I would like to really understand about this whole thing.
Okay. Mwangi, the rationale behind the Prime Minister.
First, the issue of the office of the Prime Minister for Kenya is not new. We've had Prime Ministers 2 times before in this country. So we're not starting from square one, and we are starting from a system of government that we have used before. And the last time we had it worked very well for 5 years and seemed to stabilize very many things. So we're trying to go back and seeing whether what worked then can be reintroduced. In terms of the mechanisms, the moment you decide that you're going to have the office of the Prime Minister as part of the governance system, there are things that immediately play in. And those will not be necessarily about public views, but about the mechanisms of governance. Or for instance, how do you choose a Prime Minister? How does he operate in the House? There are very many things about the mechanics of operation of that system of government that will not necessarily have to do with popular views about how it should operate. So there are very many things you will see that will not necessarily reflect a popular view. In terms of the regional governments, that is not in our report. Those are proposals that have been made. And we have very many proposals arising to an invitation to create a third tier of government. We are listening to those conversations, and we shall give our position on it when this validation process is over.
Okay.
I just wanted to add that a good question that you raised there, whether having a prime minister will cure the divisive presidential election. It's not a single silver bullet thing. The issue of divisive election is multifaceted. It has to do with having a referee that is free and fair, that will conduct an election, that the winner and the loser accept that indeed this election was free and fair. It has to do with making sure that the key political players keep on doing the politics, because for them, politics is a career. That's why we are reintroducing the position of leader of official opposition with a complete shadow cabinet to shadow the government of the day. So we are looking at experiences elsewhere, and we are saying that this multifaceted approach in which you get the systems that are involved in that election are cured. And the systems are not only the political players. You look at the institutions. What do you do with IEBC? What do you do with political parties? What do you do with the judiciary? What do you do with the security sector, which at times has been accused of being partisan? So it's a whole gamut of issues that you look together and put together, and you don't just isolate one, that this is the cure. And that's what we try to do in the BBI.
All right. So first of all, let me just see by a show of hands how many people have questions. Oh, wow. Okay. Keep them brief. The microphone is over there. Let's finish with this first line. Yeah, go ahead. Very brief.
My name is Steven Mwenda from Embu County. My question is on BBI, on that issue of economy. Now that you are introducing a prime minister post and deputy prime ministers, how are we going to see that you are going to pay them and Wajiko is not going to suffer?
Straight to the point. Go. Yes. Any of you can take that.
Okay. Of course, for all positions you create, you have to get people and you have to pay them. The question is the pay worthwhile? Is it a worthwhile investment? If we are talking about spending more money so that we stabilize the country, we stabilize our politics, and get away from that disruption that happens with every electoral cycle, or get rid of the divisiveness and the fights that erupt, what we would be saving through that spending would be a worthwhile investment in terms of what we would save by not going down that road where after every election you end up with a disrupted economy that takes another 2 years to get out of the doldrums. You possibly end up with violence and all the money that you have to spend to preserve law and order. So you don't just look at the fact that money will be spent, because yes, money will have to be spent for every new position you create. The question would be, is it worthwhile? And I think it is.
In fact, I would add on what Paul is saying. If you brought an economist here and you calculated what the prime minister will earn, and you look at the money that we are wasting in corruption, the wastage that is in government, the wastage that cartels get through. In fact, it's uncomparable. The allowances that are paid for non-performing offices. So I think that the story is bigger than the position that has been created in terms of where we lose our money as a country. And if you went to the Institute of Economic Affairs, they would really put that down for you, and you'd find that what you're talking of as big money, it goes elsewhere in the system. And we try to address those in corruption, in wastage in government, in positions that we also feel should not be there.
All right. I'll take two more from this side. Kindly mention which county you're from, and then we'll move over to the other side. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to say my prayers and condolences towards the Kakamega primary school kids. That's a very tragic, and my thoughts and prayers for them. Secondly, I would like to talk about the BBI, and my two concerns actually are Actually, my name is James Chepiegon. I come from Baringo County.
Okay.
My concern is about the creation of the way the BBI one came about, and it spoke about the Prime Minister being appointed by the President. My concern is that there is a possibility that the President, who is going to be the winner, is going to appoint a Prime Minister and appoint the cabinet secretaries. I see a possibility of a dictatorship created through that mechanism.
Okay.
My second point is the shared prosperity. I just want to ask the gentleman, how is that going to be enforced? If the current constitution is not working, and yet all those issues are addressed in there, how do you, what do you say about how to enforce this?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, let's take one more question there from the lady.
Riti Nyumu, student of University of Nairobi. I come from Kitui County. I heard you, Chair, you talk about inclusivity. My question and my concern is about the youth, because the BBI is talking about parenting. And you see, in parenting, is whereby you have someone who is there. There is the CS, and there is the PA, and there is the CAS. My concern and my comment is that in those positions, let there be youths, so that when they are there working with those guys, the CS, he is able, when he's going out, he is able to leave someone behind who can succeed them. So if you're having the BBI, let us have that succession, that we have someone who can succeed the other one, and let those people be even the youth, even to our private sectors. Let it be implemented so that even youth are being raised with a manner of leadership, so that we may not fall in the problem of losing leaders every now and then. If we could be having succession and people who are succeeding the leaders, then we could not have the problem we're having today. Thank you.
All right, I'll move over to the other side, but do you want to make a comment first on the concerns in terms of the dictatorship?
You see, the way that recommendation is couched is the best practice. And we are basically saying that the president appoints the person who has the majority. Either the party has a majority or a coalition of parties has a majority. The whole idea of the prime minister is that, unlike the president in a presidential system, who doesn't go to the house and run government business in the house, the prime minister sits in the house and is the leader of government business in the house. And the only way you can be leader of government business in the house and be able to conduct government business is if you command a majority. So the president's hands are also tied in a way. He can't pick somebody who doesn't command or is not a leader of a party or coalition with a majority. So his hands are tied to that effect. And what that basically means is that we're here to get somebody who loses the confidence of the majority of members of parliament, then they would be able to declare a vote of no confidence in that prime minister, and he would have to appoint another one. So it's not a clear-cut position on that.
All right.
But on shared prosperity, basically, you have to look at shared prosperity. What we are bringing afresh there, part of the things we are bringing afresh, is where we are saying or recommending that when you have revenues of the country, then 70% should go to development and 30% should go to recurrent. As it stands now, both in the national government and the county government, you'll find that the money spent on the recurrent expenditure far outstrips the money that goes to the development that is supposed to go to the people. And there are quite a number of issues. Time might not allow me to isolate them inside there. But those are the things we are talking about in terms of putting this economy to serve the interests of the people and not those who are in positions of government.
These two gentlemen have been raising their hands for a while. Let's start with your name, where you come from, and then him as well, same thing.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Wycliffe Siocha, all the way from Kisii County, from a tiny village of Chicago, and I am here to stamp my opinion on what is going on, especially in this report. And my question to my fellow learned friends here, why are they tailoring this report to appear as if it is the one that is going to solve our problems that Kenyans have been going through? That is my first concern. Question number two. We have about 6 months ago, the new CS for Treasury, that is Honorable Kuruyatan, freezed actually new employment for the government agencies for the next 3 years. And for these 3 years, we are having graduates who are coming out from our colleges and universities. Where are we taking these youths? Number three.
Okay.
We have got the issue of youths. We have the question of Chapter 6. There are so many documents that one has to process when applying for jobs. And all these documents require a lot of money. For instance, we have the CRP, we have the good conduct, we have the help clearance, we have the career clearance, all of them. And we as youths, we are unemployed, we don't have money. Where is the plight of the youth in this report?
Okay, pass the microphone to him. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Frederick Njoenyaga from Embu County. First of all, I would like to send a message of condolences to the people of Kakamega Primary School. May those boys and girls rest in peace. My first question is, we earned the BBI that was launched at Bomas. And it is like each and every Kenyan accepted it. I would like to ask the tax force, why spend a lot of money on a process that is acceptable to all? Because you're seeing in each and every county, a lot of money is being spent, and the document has been accepted by all, even though people at the village, they have not seen that document.
Okay.
My second question is, why has the tax force around the politicians to take over a BBI report that was a very good process?
Yeah.
Why are we seeing victimization of those people who are looking like as if they are not supporting BBI? Why are we seeing it is like political rallies?
Okay.
Where a certain political wing is controlling everything,
okay,
while the rest are victimized?
Okay.
What I would like to wish,
yeah,
is the task force to take charge,
okay,
because there's no way those people who spoke in Kisii, they are the same people who spoke in Kitui, and they are the same people who will speak maybe in Meru.
Okay.
What I would like to say,
let's leave it at
the
that.
task force
take charge.
Keep
your questions at a maximum of one, please, because many people want to ask questions. Adams, go ahead. There's a concern, Mr. Oloo, go ahead. There's a concern that this process has now been taken over by politicians. Why don't you take charge?
You see, when we said in paragraph 23 that there be a national conversation, just as Paul has said, this part of the national conversation has been taken over by the politicians. And I don't think that as a steering committee, we are prefects over what is to happen over the conversation. We are saying that a national conversation should be there. What else we would like to suggest, because that's for another body that the state has created called the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. And by the way, they are also coming to present before us because they are saying that they are seeing some things which are happening. And if you see those rallies, basically, as Paul said initially, they are preceded by a delegates conference. And that delegates conference, which also is steered by them, is we send our experts there to take them through that. When you now go to the political rally arena, that's a different process altogether because it's a political rally. We don't have the mandate to take charge of such a rally. We don't have that mandate.
No, okay. Go ahead. Keep the questions very brief, just one, because there's very many questions. Go ahead.
Oh, my name is Horace Waku from Kisii County, Nyakoe Ward. I have a question, two questions actually.
One.
The task force.
You only get to ask one question.
One question. Is BBI all about Uhuru is too young to retire?
Okay, that's it. Get the next question. Mwangi? Because there are very many people want to ask questions. Is that what it's about?
No, I don't know where that comes from, because we have a report, and the report is speaking for itself. So that is totally extraneous from the report, and you cannot claim that it is what we are doing. We're asking, read the report and deal with the report from what is in it.
Okay.
Because earlier we were told that it's a Trojan horse for other things. You know, we can't. Succession politics will be here, and you will not wish them away. They are a reality. We are headed to an election that will be about succession. And the fact that that exists does not mean that you blend everything else that is going to happen to be succession politics, because other things will have to go on. And succession politics will also have to go on. And that does not mean that one is causing the other. Even if they will interact at some place, doesn't mean that one is causing the other. All of them are realities that we have to live through and by as a nation.
Okay. Name, where you come from, one question.
Yes, my name is Arin Kodemas from Kisii, from Guja Community-Based Organization, Director, creating awareness on drugs. My question is clear and simple. Will PPI deal with, how can PPI deal with marginalized communities and deal with poverty in this country?
Basically, I think if you read the report, and that's a very cross-cutting issue when you talk of marginalized groups. It can be addressed in it has been addressed in inclusivity, it has been addressed in shared prosperity. And you see, when we looked at the data that we had, then we found that even as devolution has been a good thing for the country, one has to say that because there are positive things that have come out of devolution, we also found that some of the ills that have been bedeviling the country at the national level have been devolved, so that if you have counties in which there are some marginal groups, then you find that even in that governance structure, even in that employment structure, even in that development structure, you'll find that within the county, there are again some marginalized groups, so that you can say that some marginalized groups are being marginalized twice. They're being marginalized at the national level, and they're being marginalized also at the county level. And we give some recommendations to ensure that such groups are part and parcel. For example, when you look at our recommendation in which we are saying that the money that goes to the county, that each ward must be catered for equitably, that 30% must ensure the governor in that county will now be compelled, should our report come to reality and be implemented, that governor will be compelled to ensure that each ward is equitably catered for. And therefore, we're trying to say that that equalization fund that was created at the national level, we have a way again at the county level in which that equity applies at that level. We are also trying to say that in terms of inclusivity, we are saying that all a census should also occur at that county level stage, in which those groups that would not get a fair chance are given some affirmative action at that level.
Okay. Next question. Yeah. Over there, you have the microphone. One question.
Yeah,
state your name and where you come from, then we'll go to the back line.
Yes, okay. My name is George Mangi. I'm also from Kisii County, though a resident of Nairobi. I take note of the colorful language that the task force used to outline the notable issues in the national conversation that they had in the first round. Now, don't you think you could have emphasized on the fact that Kenyans, we've kind of lost hope, or we are like kind of cynical, and how are you going to go about it when you are coming up with the final report? Because I know after the conversation that is going on now, we hope it will not be so different from what is contained in the Bomas draft. And secondly, what modalities are you going to put in place to see that we have a national culture? Because our multicultural setup seems to be divisive rather than bringing us together. And given the footnote you have for the report about building bridges to a united Kenya from a nation of blood ties to a nation of ideals.
Okay.
Yes.
Pass the microphones behind you and then let's get the questions. How many, by a show of hands, how many people have read the BBI here? Okay. Great. Next question.
Thank you so much, Trevor. My name is Aromondio Kongo. First of all, I have to thank my senior Adams and Wakili. You're doing a good job to me, because to me, personally, BBI is a good thing because it brought peace to Kenya, because peace is key. Then my worry is, and my concern, the BBI is so silent about the judiciary, because actually we have 3 arms of government, but there is much concentration on, executive. So my worry is the judiciary, it has a challenge. So what are your takes on that?
Okay. Answer those 2 questions first, then we'll get the rest.
Basically, when he talks of a national culture, we covered that under national ethos. And in a way, as a team, we said that national ethos is a macro issue that the rest should falling. And we said maybe part of the problem that bedevils Kenya is that there is no national ethos that binds all the different cultures, community. For example, if you went to Germany, then what they pride themselves is work ethic. If you go to Tanzania, for example, they'll pride themselves in undugu, ujamaa. And then if you come to Kenya, then you'll find that our rallying point, for example, is usually when Kipchoge wins. And it lasts for, I think, 30 minutes or a day. And then we are back to our cocoons. So maybe as a country, it's time that we brought ourselves together to create this national ethic so that if you do something that Jerotich doesn't like, then you say, that's not Kenyan. Is there something that we can be able to do as a country and somebody tells you, hiyo sio Kenya? Maybe we lack that, and maybe that's where we need to start from, to weave ourselves into a nation, a nationality, away from our identities, so that the unity in diversity that we keep on talking about, we can find a rallying point. And we really try, when we address the national issue, to address that. I forget what the second question was.
The judiciary.
Oh, the judiciary.
Yes.
Basically, you're right, and the whole reason for validation is exactly that Kenyans will be able to say, this is what BBI 1 did not address. It now needs to be considered. And I think you have a point that maybe that's something that should come out more clearly. And Trevor, let me just say one thing. You asked, I don't think you did a purposive sampling, because there's been talk out there of how much people haven't read the report. But if you were to use this sample here, then you can see Kenyans are also reading the report.
But then is there a chance that the last report will be different from what the 156-page document from Bomas? Because you just said that the issue of the judiciary could actually come in.
And that's the whole idea of validation. The whole idea of validation is that you come and look at it and say, this one is okay, this one amend, this one you left out, this one you put a little effort in. We can only comment on whether it will be different once all the data is in, once all the stakeholders come before us.
Yeah.
But at this stage, we are still in the processing stage.
But there's a chance that the one we saw at Bomas is not the final one that will come out of this.
No. I think that's a trick question you're trying to put, because
that you're taking recommendations.
This
Professor.
document is our document of phase 1. There's no other document other than this of phase 1. What will come out of validation will be answering or updating or amending this document. I usually hear people saying there's another real BBI document. No, this is the document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
yes.
Something that was asked about capturing the despair that Kenyans have. And if you look at the cross-cutting issues that we had, we talked about the youth feeling excluded and feeling that they are, and we talk about the Kenya running out of time. We talk about the leadership crisis that we have and the fact that people don't trust their leaders anymore. And in the cross-cutting issues, we have captured the kind of desperation that Kenyans are feeling. And we have said that it is time that we change this, because we are not going to have the time to change it if we let it go on for too long. So we have captured the kind of desperation the country is in, and we have called for action.
All right. Name, where you come from, one question.
Nancy, thank you. I come from Machakos County.
Yes.
2 issues.
One issue.
Right. The devolution. They're speaking about, the BBI is speaking about devolving more resources and function to the county, so that we can be all have shared prosperity. Now, I'm asking, do you need the BBI to devolve 100% of the national resources? Because the Constitution speaks about at least 15%. Now, do you need the BBI to talk about or to deal with the Constitution? Because Article 226 deals conclusively with the issue of corruption. My proposal is that the BBI, as it is now, is just a tale of the same monkeys congregating under the guise of uniting Kenyans, while what they're actually doing is expanding their forests so that they can swim comfortably without colliding with each other.
All right. Next concern, yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Michael Mungai from Kiambu County. Now, let me make this clear observation, a very simple observation, that the BBI is the worst document ever to be brought in the face of this nation. Why? Because the best document was produced in 1965 by somebody known as Tom Mboya under sessional paper number 10 on African socialism. To date, it has never been implemented. Nothing supersedes the content of African socialism today. The BBI seeks or pretends to be seeking out to be out for the interest of the common mwananchi. As an economist by profession, taking on the two accounts of inclusivity and shared prosperity, I can conclusively say that the BBI rubber stamps the fate of the have-nots and condemning them to eternal poverty.
Okay. Concern over there? Go.
Yes. Trevor. I'm Walter Wino, Kisumu County. I'm the chairman of Kenyan Youth Professional Society. Now, due to the fact that the common mwananchi has really dismissed the con game, the issue about the BBI. Now, I wanted to ask those who came up with the BBI, due to the fact that you are not even playing the active part that is supposed to be seen by the public. I just want you to assure the people who are here is a composition of the bigger percentage outside there who are very common man. When will be a common man have his stake in Kenya? That's my question.
All right.
My name is Ben Sirikal from Kisia County.
Yeah.
My question goes to the two gentlemen. Why do you want to be the face of this dishonesty, hypocrisy, called BBI, in other words, balkanization and bastardization of Kenyans into voting robots for 2022?
Okay.
Why can't you be just honest to Kenyans and tell people that whatever we've been writing in those papers, they're in the Constitution, they're in Dungu Report, they're in TGRC, there is a 1965 social paper. There is nothing new. We don't need BBI to implement these things. We already have a parliament. We already have a senate. We have a president. Whatever you're discussing can be implemented right now. We don't need to wait until 2022. You don't need to be dishonest with Kenyans.
Okay.
Just be honest and tell us this is a waste of time.
All right, let's give them a chance to respond on this first.
You know, it's very easy to give rhetoric, and it's very difficult to answer to rhetoric because you're not raising any issues. I really doubt that you have read a lot of that report because you don't have an issue that you can raise. Ask an issue that is in that report which you say does not work. Then we can have a conversation. But to just have a rhetorical statement, it doesn't work. But let me go to the issue of devolution and corruption. We asked the people about devolution and corruption, and everybody kept saying that they want more money to go to the counties. And we asked them, what do you do about the fact that there is corruption? And they want those two issues separated. First, they want more devolution because they feel that devolution responds more to them and faster to them. When there is nothing, when there is no medicine in the county, the person who is answerable is next to you. The person with the money is next to you, which is very different than when you're dealing with a service that is being delivered by the national government. Because the person with the money in the national government is several hundred kilometers away. So if you wake up in the morning and there is a problem, you would have to literally send delegations to Nairobi to go and see the PS, who is the one who has the money that is supposed to sort out the problem. So most of the people felt that they would want to have more of those functions, have the money of those functions sent to the county, because then they have a greater response to the people who are in charge of it. If it is a road or a bridge that needs to be built or that has been washed away, it is easier to go to the governor's office and deal with that issue and have him respond faster than when you're having to come to the Ministry of Roads in Nairobi to talk about a bridge that was in Kisii that was washed away. So people did call for more devolution. They did call for more of those functions to be devolved. But they also want corruption to be dealt with. But they do not want the existence of corruption to be the reason why you don't devolve functions to them.
Adam.
Let me just answer first to what Paul calls rhetoric. When I was a first-year student at the University of Nairobi, I'm happy for this young man here, because us during our time, you couldn't talk that way because you would end up in committee or somewhere. So that's the beauty of having liberties. It's the beauty of being free to debate and comment and talk freely, but use that time positively. Let me answer my good friend who is saying, he's an economist, that sessional paper number 10 of 1965 was the best document. You know, sessional paper is just a parliamentary document, a document that is developed. There have been other sessional papers on the economy. Sessional paper number 1 of 1986, Vision 2030. But there's one thing. There were good things in the sessional paper. But if you go and read it properly, because it looks like you have not read it properly, it is the one that proposed that we should develop the areas that have potential and then redistribute to the marginalized area. And that's how those marginalized areas today were never developed until devolution came, because the high potential areas were developed and we got revenue from them, but the national government never redistributed to the marginalized areas. So it looks like you are encouraging marginalization when devolution, through the 2010 Constitution, you go to Wajir today, you go to those pastoralist areas that had never seen a health center. They have since seen it because of devolution. Yet you're saying that was okay.
Okay. Please keep your questions around the BBI. If you have a concern, say this is the concern I have. It's in this safety and security, it's in devolution, it's in corruption, and this is a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm Kenneth Odongo. I am from Migori County, and I have a question. One is, there's a general feeling that you people, I hope, you already know the task force, that Kenyans are not happy with the work you did. I hope you guys are aware. Now, the question is, there's been statements like BBI is 10% for leaders, I mean for Wanjiku and the Odongos, and 90% for the leaders. How do you respond to such a statement? Now, two.
No, just one question.
The truth.
Which part of the BBI do you have a problem with?
I have a problem with the whole document, other than what is there. Because my question
the whole of
today,
it, including the 7% tax break, you don't want that for anyone.
My question is, yes. My question is, how are you going to ensure that what is contained in the BBI is implemented? Because generally, what is there other than the Prime Minister is captured in the Constitution and other reports. How are you going to ensure that the implementation will be done? Because the problem we've had over the years is lack of the political goodwill to implement all the good papers that we've had in the past.
That's a valid concern. How will it be implemented?
No, I think first facts have to be stated. When you say that everything that is in the BBI document is in the Constitution, I can assure you that's a flat lie, because I can mention for you the issues which are not in the Constitution. If you look at how we are saying IEBC should be reformed in terms of how those who come to that office are put in place, that is not in the Constitution. If you look at what we are talking about in terms of shared prosperity, in terms of building that big national cake so that it can be shared, that is not in the Constitution. If you look at how we are talking of enhancing inclusivity, that is not in the Constitution. If you look at how we are saying that we can build a national ethos, that is not in the Constitution. If you look at how we are saying that you can have a national security framework that ensures that you deal with both traditional security and human security, that includes food security, health security, personal security, that is not in the Constitution. And I can go
Let's go with the implementation part. Yeah.
So I don't know which document you're talking about. Maybe you got a fake document that you read. Yeah.
Okay. Ken.
Thank you very much, Trevor. I come from Kakamega County, and my condolences to the friends and family of those who've lost their relatives, their children at Kakamega Primary School. For avoidance of doubt, that is our best public primary school in the county with over 2,000 students. Trevor, I want you to shield us, the audience, because the panelists are now resorting to some kind of blackmail and intimidation in addressing this gentleman. And for avoidance of doubt, Professor Adams Oloo, I am a lawyer, and I want to give a lawyer perspective so that you don't mistake us for idlers picked from streets. I am a PhD candidate in law at the University of Nairobi. Your response that whatever that is in the BBI report is not in the Constitution, I want to respond equally, that is a lie. If you talk about national ethos, if we can implement Chapter 6 to the letter, that solves our national ethos. Number 2, Adams. The president picked on you people and the Right Honorable Prime Minister and gave you the spirit of what they wanted the nation to look like. It was up to you to come up with a text that will be used to realize the spirit. Unfortunately, I have a feeling that what came out in text is a betrayal of the presidential executive trust that they had given you. Why? This is the reason. We have institutions established by the Constitution. The BBI does not come out strongly on how to strengthen these institutions to achieve the desired ends. I'll just use one institution called Parliament. You've talked about the position of the Prime Minister. And where I come from as a lawyer, I think that your response is utterly misleading if we say that the Prime Minister is going to solve the problems in this way. Take the current Parliament. Take the current Parliament. Aden Duale is the leader of majority. What we need to do under BBI is just to make Aden Duale the leader of Jubilee Party so that he becomes the Prime Minister. Does that solve our problem? It does not solve our problem. If you expand the executive, ladies and gentlemen, without telling us an elaborate process on how to fill the expanded spaces, is creating a larger problem. In 2007, we had a parliament with over 50 ministers, 140 assistant ministers, where virtually every member of parliament had a GK. Was that not an expanded executive? Did that solve the problem? You have not addressed the issue of 50 plus 1 vote. It is the issue, in my opinion, of 50 plus 1 vote that has sent us to the bloodshed. When Moi was president in this country, we were crying that 25 from how many provinces was enough. That was the problem. Now what 50 plus 1 means, that if 2 communities unite, the Kalenjins and the Kikuyus, they can rule us for the next generation. Because they can marshal their votes, get 50%, get 1 man from Siaya to make it 50 plus 1, and rule this country. What have you done on the threshold of the presidential election so that we move it in such a way that not 2 or 3 communities can unite and oppress the rest of Kenya?
Okay.
And my concluding remark is this: you are running away from the fact that you have subcontracted your mandate to the political class. I have attended these rallies from Kisii, in Muliro Garden, in Bukongo Stadium.
Yeah.
I have been in Mombasa. I was in Kitui. I will be going to Meru. You tell MCS to come with their spanner boys and hang a zone in a forum before the real forum, and then they talk what they talk, and then they come to a rally and they read resolutions that do not look like Mwananchi.
Okay.
For example, what our friend Joshua Kutunya has been doing in rallies, is that what you call validation?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I think Trevor, my good lawyer here, is mixing up issues. I don't think at any time Paul and I have said that those rallies are organized by BBI. So to try and say that MCAs are collected as if it is us who invited those MCAs, I think is not right. But let me go to the point that you said when you use the Duale example. You see, if you want to educate people better, you look at an issue contextually. You don't pick one current example and then you say that Duale would be the prime minister. Let me juxtapose the same thing you have said and go to 2007, where Mwai Kibaki was the president and Raila Odinga was the prime minister. Was PNU the majority party? If that's your answer, was it? So you have to go contextual. So don't be simplistic with the answer. The other issue, you said that if we deal with chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, then we will have dealt with national ethos. Leadership and integrity is just one aspect of national ethos. In fact, if you ask me where national ethos are supposed to lie in our constitution, it is in Article 10 on the values. Yeah? It's not chapter 6, just updates or is meant to implement that.
Thank you for confirming that we have national ethos under Article 10, which you had actually
national values.
But I wanted to say that I was not simplistic. Just in 30 seconds. Yes. 30 seconds. I was not simplistic. You've given us the example of 2007 when we had an ODM majority in parliament. That is one example. I have given you the example of 2013 and 2017 under the inception of the so-called tyranny of numbers.
Okay.
Yes, we say that it is a question of implementation. One, sometimes we talk as if we are ruled by Ugandans. We are Kenyans, and we are ruled by Kenyans. And one government goes and another one comes, of Kenyans. One minister goes and another one comes. They are all Kenyans. So we can't first start saying as if there is another tribe or another group of people that is coming to do this. This is our collective response. We are saying, these reforms you are talking about, why aren't they changing anything? From 1 year, and that was the issue about BBI. From 1 year to the next, from one decade to the next, how long are we going to keep talking about the reforms we have done, and those reforms never see the end? They never change anything. And BBI is about looking at what is stepping in the way of this. Is it our divisions that are preventing us from putting these reforms together? And that is what we are trying to address. And don't say that national ethos is about national, and he has corrected you. Adams have corrected you and said leadership and integrity is not national ethos. National ethos is first even that feeling of we as Kenyans. Who are we as Kenyans? We don't have that idea of what it is that we as Kenyans are pursuing as a country, so that can guide us to the things that we want to do.
All right, yeah.
One comment from my lawyer friend here.
Yes.
You see, and I think you have read the document. If you go and read our notable issues, one of the notable issues we have said is that our problem is not necessarily in the hardware. Our problem is in the software. You can make constitutions, you can make laws, but if you don't change attitudes and behaviors to conform to those laws and policies that you put in place, then they'll always exist there on paper, yet your behaviors and attitudes remain stuck in the same way of doing things. And we are saying, think outside the box.
Okay.
That's what we're saying.
Let's come back to this side. Let me get closing remarks very fast. Yes, go ahead.
My name is Solomon Buhala. I want to say that the conversation we are having in this country about BBI, I don't want to say that it's useless. It's worthy because each one should be given a chance to say something about what he's seeing and what he's hearing. One thing in this country, the key aspect of unemployment must be addressed. Because if we are giving people identity cards, we are giving people certificates from the universities, and then they're coming out unemployed, don't you think we are sitting on a bombshell that will explode?
Okay.
That is the area that I want us to. And I also want to remember people with disabilities.
Okay.
Let us see how do we cushion people with disabilities?
All right.
How do we cushion parents with the children with disabilities?
Okay.
Let us think seriously about that.
Okay. Please keep your comments brief because there's still many people want to speak, but I've run out of time completely.
Yes, my name is Job Ongera, and I come from Nyamira County. Trevor, me and you and the rest of the viewers can agree that BBI has come. It's as dangerous as the coronavirus. Why? And I want to side with the PhD law student that these guys who were entrusted to carry on the task force did not do their job. The time that they were moving from one county to the other county, did those people who attend tell them the problems they are facing before they call delegates in an enclosed room and they come out publicly to read something that the people did not even pass? That's one. Two, they are here. You can even ask where their offices are. If you want to ask them questions or to pay them a visit, where are their offices?
Okay.
They have been elongated for another 6 months, using taxpayers' money to produce results that cannot help the common mwananchi.
Okay.
Lastly,
No. Let's ask them right now. Where are your offices?
First, you know, this is, to me, it's another. I don't know whether you are involved in the process. And as I said, I don't know where you come from saying that you know how those meetings were held. At least he was invited, and he's talking about something practical that he was involved in. And we have been able, just 1 minute, we're able to have a constructive discussion with him because he was there. It's very difficult to respond to you because you're talking about something you were not involved in. So I don't know how to respond to you. I was able to respond to him because he talked about a process.
A direct question, which is in the BBI.
Hold 1 second. Let's finish one.
We are able to talk about a process he was involved in, that he participated in. Now, I don't know how to answer to you unless you tell me where were you invited, did you attend, the things you are saying now, is it just rhetoric or are you talking about real issues? But let me first answer the question of my employment, because that is one of the things we have admitted in the report. And we'll say that Kenya needs to have an economic revolution, because the economy that we have today is not going to be sufficient for us in another 20, 30 years. And that the size of the youth population that is coming up, unless we change the kind of economy we have, it shall overtake us. And we shall not be able to create the employment that is needed to take care of that youthful population. So the discussion that we want to have now is what are the things that we need to change if we are going to drastically change the economy we have. And some of the things we have suggested things in agriculture. We have suggested about removing the cartels that are controlling the agricultural industry. We have talked about trying to get youthful people into agriculture, either through use of technology and through mechanization, because agriculture is the largest employer in any country. So the fact that the youth today are not adequately, they're not fully employed in agriculture is an issue of concern. And we have talked about the different ways in which you need to create extra employment. But that's not the only thing. We need to think about many more things that are going to change the nature of this economy.
Okay, one question. There you go. You wanted to respond? Yes, go ahead.
When me and Paul answer with facts, we are accused that we are debating. But let me just answer that gentleman, because he's just contradicted himself. He said he's agreeing with this lawyer candidate that the mandate, the trust we were given, we failed in it. Then with the people who gave us there. Then he goes ahead to say, those same people whom we have let down extended to us with 6 months. So you are saying those people who we let down again gave us 6 months. Are you saying there's something wrong with them?
Trevor, we clearly
initially in our report, and he hasn't read the report, because in this report, if you read chapter 12, the conclusion, as we had finished our job and we had said that the next phase should be handled by a technical committee to turn our report into exactly what we have been asked to do, which is to tease out the policy, the administrative, the legislative, statutory, and the constitutional. It's in our report here.
All right, I've really run out of time. I'll just give one more person. Yes.
We clearly need a prophetic voice here.
I wanted you guys to raise the issues one at a time, but you're doing your thing. It's okay.
You can see the confusion. I just have an advice to the steering committee. Please let us adopt as a country the ethos of righteousness. Righteousness will always exalt any nation. Just do it right.
Okay, got it. Young man here wanted to say something so desperately, and the lady back there, the microphone was with you, you didn't say much, but now you're running out of time.
Thank you, Trevor. My name is Patrick Masharia, a student at the University of Nairobi from Kirinyaga County. Now, in chapter 8, I have read this chapter that deals with corruption, and my concern is that we are not saying how we should strengthen EACC or the independent institutions that
that concern had been raised earlier on. Let's keep to things that have not been talked about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry to reiterate this, but you didn't answer the question. Wanjiku not be taken advantage of with the Prime Minister and everything, the money.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'm Joseph Jonge. I'm from Samburu County, but I'm residing in Nairobi. There's a question on inclusivity where I'm feeling like it is not being answered. You are asked of how the parents in the rural areas will get to know about the BBI, how they will get the report, and how they will have to participate, because it is only being done in the urban areas.
All right, Teach.
You know, I want to just say something, that it was okay that two gentlemen decided to shake hands to bring the boiling point of Kenya down and calm temperatures. That's fine. What I strongly object to, and there's so many areas, it's not that we haven't read the report, we are lacking these types of town halls where we can dissect issues one after the other and tell you where we have problems with the report. But my big exception with the BBI, and it will always be so, is that handshake translated into this laborious process that is sending us down like cattle through a dip, to be dipped in something called BBI so that eventually succession can be as is. I do not like it. I do not appreciate it. But the issues, whether it's the IBC selection using political parties, imagine how contentious that will be. Or the idea of translating county number 47 into a metropolitan city because we want devolution to fail in Nairobi. Look at how lousily Nairobi is run now. And eventually, or I think it's section 190 on page 92 of the BBI report, the cross-cutting issues where you're saying you will turn Nairobi into a metropolitan or into a metropolis. So there's so many issues we could address, but ultimately those two men that shook hands, an agreement between the two of them has translated into this rigmarole that Kenyans are forever trapped in, and this is why we must reject it and say implement fully the Constitution of Kenya 2010 and then come back to us if you think that we need more.
All right, closing remarks. Final remarks. We'll start with you. Yes.
First, you can't get angry about ideas, and you can't get angry that people are taking things differently. You can't react that way to other people's thoughts. These are people's thoughts about where they think they want to take it. If people think we want, if people
let him finish.
If there is a discussion as to what
I'm passionate, not angry.
Yes. Okay. If there's a discussion as to what we should do with Nairobi, what is your view? Do you want it to remain as a county? Do you want it? There is a discussion on the table of some people who are saying that we need to change the way Nairobi is managed. It's not the only city that has been managed the way it is being proposed. It has happened elsewhere in the world. The question is, do we adopt what is happening elsewhere in the world, or do we keep it as a county within our within our structure?
I've really run out of time.
That is there. But lastly, we have the chapter called Responsibilities and Rights.
Yeah.
What is our response in this discussion? How many forums have you organized? How many places have you taken this discussion? You can't say that until a forum is organized for you that you're not going to have this discussion. Everybody should have this discussion. We have called everybody to have this discussion wherever they are, whether it is in a church, whether it is in a mosque. Take the discussion there, and finally, that is the people will be able to respond to what has been.
Clearly, we have to have another town hall.
Thank you.
How are you organizing such town halls for people in the rural areas? That is a main concern that's coming up.
No, it doesn't have to be us. It can also be them organizing and inviting us to come there, and that.
Yeah, I invited them and they came.
And my last comment is that, Trevor, in that para 23, we mentioned where that national conversation should occur. I think we should have also added TV stations, because for me, this is a conversation that has been there. And whether somebody is calling it a scam, that is a conversation. They are saying what they feel. And I can tell you for sure that in any process that is democratic, you will never get it 100% unless it's a dictatorship. So those who will oppose BBI will be there. That's the nature of democracy, including those who have called it a scam. They'll have a right to say, I disagree, but the majority will have their way, the minority will have their say, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of disagreement.
You could also be a majority. You could also be a majority.
I really have to end it there because of time. There's no more points. Listen, I promise you we'll have this discussion again. I have really run out of time. I've really run out of time. 20 seconds because you're from Kisii. What is it?
I'm just interested about you saying that we can have forums anywhere and everywhere. I showed this in Kakamega when they were arranging another PPI rally elsewhere. There were GSU all over the field. That was a PBI, a GSU PBI.
Where
and we have had other places like in the Rift Valley. We have had them plan for the PBI discussions, and it's like the government is against that. So how can you tell me to go understand that I'm having a PBI rally somewhere and the police are on my shoulders?
I think
you have not seen that?
We have said, and we have issued a statement saying we shall attend every conversation that we are called to. We were here, we are called here again, we shall come. It's a good discussion. Let, as Professor says, let everybody say their piece. Those who are angry, let's listen to everybody.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I really have to end it there. I really have to end it there. Ken, that is where we leave it. Ken, Ken, thank you so much for making time. Professor Adams Oloo, Vice Chairperson, Member BBI Steering Committee, Paul Mwangi, Joint Secretary BBI Steering Committee, and thank you so much for having this forum. I'm sure we'll do this again next time. Thank you for watching Monday Report Townhall Session. My name is Trevor Mbija. Good night. Wow.